You're watching Notepad with me, Ibrahim Sani. Today I have with me the president of Gutor Electronics, Christian Betrand. He has joined us to discuss a bunch of items including digitization, as well as IoT. Christian, thanks for joining us. Before we jump into any and all subject matters, let's discuss a little bit about the differentiation between Gutor Electronics and Schneider Electronics, where a lot of people are already familiar with.
Okay, so first of all, thanks a lot for welcoming me today, Ibrahim. In a very short sentence, Gutor belongs to Schneider Electric. So Gutor is a subsidiary of Schneider that is run a bit independently from the rest of the business and the Schneider countries.
Okay, and the functions that you do would be a little bit different or the same with Schneider?
We contribute. Schneider mission globally is to power and digitize the economy, right? That's the global purpose of the company. And Gutor is contributing fully to both pillars of Schneider Electric. So if I want to illustrate that in few words, clearly on the power side, before we go to digitization, securing power continuity, securing reliability, availability of power is core. And the purpose of Gutor is to manufacture uninterruptible power supply solutions. So clearly, on the power side, we contribute to the Schneider mission, and we are fully embedded into the global Schneider Electric secure power offer that covers all customer needs, from out of the shelves, ready-to-use units to the very customized heavy industrial units that Gutor is manufacturing.
And of course, the business that you're in is not only just in heavy industries, but you're also tackling the middle-sized businesses. Do you also handle consumer?
Schneider is doing it very clearly with the, what we call the commercial units, commercial UPSs. That's not the scope of Gutor. Gutor is really specialized on heavy industrial needs, very specific, customer-oriented, customer specs-oriented. So we manufacture engineer-to-order solutions based on our customer requirements. That's absolutely not the specifications that you find on the standard market for the product that you are referring to with the consumer market.
And of course, with this in mind, you would be, I would presume, to be heavy in doing businesses in Asia, in perhaps Africa, countries where in heavy industries are actually high growth there.
Exactly. So we cover, our scope is clearly worldwide. We cover our main segments and customers are located in oil and gas activities, nuclear activities, mining, water and water treatment, and transportation, where the specific requirements from the customers on seismic, on dust, on water, on everything that is related to harsh environment are predominant.
Let's talk about the purpose that you're here in Kuala Lumpur. What would be the reason that you would visit Malaysia?
I visit Malaysia 4 times a year because we manufacture in Malaysia. So I hope I'll get at the end or during our interview some details on what we are doing here and why we've been choosing Malaysia. But Malaysia is a very critical country for Gutor because we have 3 factories in the world, one in China, one in Switzerland, one in Malaysia, and Malaysia is a very strong pillar on our industrial operation. So that's why I'm here today.
And do you employ locally as well?
We employ locally a lot of people, yes. Our operations are above 200 people in Malaysia, yes.
Okay, so the business of heavy industries in Malaysia, as well as parts of the region, is actually trying to manage the slump that is currently happening over at the oil and gas sector. We've seen a lot of reports coming in from Petronas as well as other oil and gas contractors saying that they might want to rethink about how they want to advance or perhaps even grow their companies within this particular sector. Is it undeniably certain to say that the oil and gas sector is currently facing a tough kind of segment in their life cycle where they might have to downsize a lot of their operations?
Well, I think we have been through this period, and nobody has a crystal ball, right, on where we are going to. Nevertheless, what I see as major trends on the oil and gas is that this downsizing happened during the oil crisis. So that has been a very tough period, 3 years that we had to follow our customers. And one of the challenges that Gutor was facing is to adjust the business models and the delivery models to follow our customers on their needs to cost down very clearly. I think where the oil prices today, they are more comfortable now after this very, very tough transformation. And they are ready to embrace the next level, and particularly leveraging digitization to gain more efficiency.
And speaking about digitization, let's talk about the work that you're doing in this space.
Yes. So I said at the beginning, right, when we discussed about the Schneider purpose around powering and digitizing the economy, we talked about the powering side, not the digitization so far. So Gutor is contributing there as well, together with the strengths of Schneider globally. And we know that Schneider started investing a long time back. That was one of the pioneers on digitization in our industries. More than 15 years ago, Schneider started developing solutions that were already digitized. So Gutor here is fully embedded into the Schneider offer on, we call it, EcoStruxure. So Gutor is fully embedded into the EcoStruxure story for Schneider Electric, and particularly on the oil and gas side. So without going too much into details, I mean, we all know that on the digitization story, you have three layers, right? That start with the connected devices where the data are acquired, the edge control that's piloting the operations, and then the cloud app and services layer that is providing most of the value and the new technology and the new functions that the customers can enjoy. So on the Gutor side, we are part of the connected devices that Schneider is offering to the market, just like many, many others. 45% of Schneider sales are connected with digital products. So that's a very, very significant part of our business. And we are sending our data to the EcoStruxure Schneider platform and architecture in order to feed all the software, suite of software that will provide in turn services to the customers like asset performance management, install base management, operation efficiency, predictive maintenance, and so on and so on.
And with this, I think Malaysia is very much focused into moving forward into the Industry 4.0 and the Industrial Revolution 4.0 to a point where even the Ministry of International Trade and Industry has come up with a blueprint for IR4.0. And clearly Gutor is in that sweet spot where you actually see the entire cycle about how to develop 4.0. But how do we manage cost when we talk about trying to upskill yourself from where you are now into the future?
Okay. So I'll separate my answer in two different points. The first one is the one we just covered on the offer side. And here, very clearly, benefiting from the strengths of a group like Schneider Electric is for Gutor a wonderful opportunity. Then I go to my role as Gutor president and our industrial operations. And here, when I manage the company just like a small business. It's a medium-sized or small company with 600 people worldwide, so and 2 or 3 factories. So at the end of the day, what matters is that you dimension and choose your battles. True that all new technologies are not accessible to small businesses. Nevertheless, to our scale, there is a lot of things that can be done in many, many ways, right? It's manufacturing. You have been speaking about Industry 4.0, but customer interactions as well. How do we digitize the way we interact with the customers? How do we generate more efficiencies, remove papers, accelerate cycles? And on all this, I could give you details on the investments that Gutor has been making on both of the factories in Switzerland and in Malaysia in order to progress into digitization.
All right, Christian.
So that's accessible to all the businesses.
We'll take a short break, but when we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more with Christian Betrand of Gutor Electronics. Thanks for staying on with us. You're watching Notepad with me, Ibrahim Sani. Today we have Christian Betrand, the president of Gutor Electronics, discussing digitization and more with regard to big and heavy industries. Christian, before we left off, you were still talking about digitization. Yes. Let's go deep into that.
Okay. So we were talking about digitization and how digitization can accompany the companies towards efficiency, cost reductions. And the first one people can think of is really efficiency. So how can I save on my energy consumption, right? Because I pilot that automatically in a more automatized manner and so on and so on. But this is not the only advantage that you can get through digitization. The second one is productivity. Very clearly, avoiding downtime, it's something through predictive maintenance to planned services instead of emergency services. You optimize the use of your devices. So clearly, you increase your productivity. The third level I can think of is safety. Digitization allows to diagnose the situation remotely, even understand what's happening, staying away from the unit. So you reduce the risk that you have, putting your people in front of a machine that potentially can be dangerous. That's the third one. I would like to highlight a fourth one that's very clearly for me is important, because if we look at the future, being cautious with the resources of our planet is critical. We know that the energy dilemma, we have to reduce the carbon dioxide emission by 2, while at the same time the power consumption will double. So this is clearly a way, through all the actions that we describe on energy management, on productivity, on safety, to reduce clearly the carbon footprint and what we take from our planet in order to produce what we need to live.
But these arguments that you presented, while it may be compelling to many, for business owners, they would have that high restrictive cost to jump into digitization. In fact, a lot of small businesses and medium-sized businesses I speak to, while it may not be your clientele, but the argument is the cost is too prohibitive for them to embark on a digitization journey. And I guess the same argument can be used for large companies as well, companies which is well within your client frame. Okay. Do you think that the cost prohibitive argument has to be managed in order for them to actually enjoy the benefits of digitization?
Each time we made an investment, we are business people, right? So we're not investing for nothing. The return on investment is high. That's very clear. I just mentioned 1 or 2 numbers here. We in Schneider Electric see up to 85% energy consumption reduction thanks to digitization. We see up to 50% increase on productivity thanks to digitization. Just 2 numbers, right? And the average, people can say, yes, that's extreme example. The average energy savings that we are generating through our systems is 30%. That's a huge impact, and the ROI on this investment is not prohibitive on the investment side. It's very, very convenient for the business because it increased the profitability. So we have very, very short return on investment periods on investments.
And of course, being in this business for quite a bit, you see a lot of industries across a lot of sectors. Mm-hmm. Do you think that industries where Malaysia is big in, including oil and gas, including manufacturing, yes, plantation even, do you think that these kind of industries can have that upside that you speak of? Yes. In fact, those extreme numbers of 85% reduction and so on.
No, that's specific cases, right? But again, average 30%, that's what we have been noting across all industries. So I can with all confidence say that will be the case in Malaysia the same way and for all segments all across the world. What matters here is to choose the right solutions. And I would like to insist on one point, is that these solutions have to be very specific for your business. So the segment, the activity you're in, and the application. So we started touching the oil and gas side. I can just in few words say that on the software suites that Schneider is providing to all our customers on the oil and gas market at the 3 layers that we discussed, from connected devices to cloud and cloud services and apps, it's not only oil and gas defined. That's for each application that we have been tailor-making softwares in order to tackle the real issues of the customers. And why are we able to do that? Because we have 20,000 applications engineers specifically focused on the customer issues, on each application from the customer. So oil and gas, we have different software suites for offshore production, onshore production, refineries, petrochem, distribution of oil, so pipeline and so on and so on. So all this is really tailor-made to really tackle and optimize the efficiency specifically of your process and not the process that is common to everybody.
Taking a step back, do you think that the nationwide policy on energy management, on efficiency, on IR4.0, those kind of things, are we on track in terms of getting the best out of our companies here in Malaysia?
I don't have a sufficient knowledge on the industries in Malaysia to comment on your questions, unfortunately. But I mean, you might know. You meet a lot of people, right, on the Malaysian business leaders. They will comment on that. On my side, what I see in our factory, and when I discuss with my colleagues in Malaysia from Schneider, very clearly we see that there is a very strong focus right now pushing towards digitization. I think that is the level of execution, I don't know, but the focus, reading the newspapers, talking to my peers here, I think that it's really at a very good level in Malaysia.
And finally, what would be the next step for Gutor Electronics here in Malaysia and in fact in Asia?
Okay, so well, Asia, we are present in many, many countries. So if I talk about Malaysia from a business standpoint, obviously we work with Petronas, we work with Shell, the major oil and gas players here. But I will talk more, and then we cover all customers worldwide from the Malaysia plant. So allow me to go straight to the second part of my answer, which is how do we see our factory in Malaysia fitting into Gutor strategy worldwide? And our factory in Malaysia plays a very central role because we opened this factory, the first part of it, 11 years ago. We expanded 6 years ago, and we plan to expand again because we have now very clearly, aside from the China plant that is dedicated to China, for the rest of the business worldwide, we have 2 factories providing solutions to all our customers. So that means for me that from Malaysia, we are not delivering only to Malaysia, though Petronas is a dear customer to our heart, obviously, but we are delivering from Malaysia in South America, in Europe, in the Middle East, in Africa, everywhere, and obviously in Asia. That's very clear. It goes without saying.
All right.
So Malaysia is a central part of our industrial footprint and will remain so because, for me, I found in Malaysia competent people, a very strategic positioning, people that are able to interact in a very international environment, which is the Gutor environment. I have absolutely no reason after 11 years of success to challenge this. That's the contrary. I want to invest in Malaysia for further successes.
Wow, wonderful. Good to know that foreign money is still flowing in.
Thank you.
Thanks, Christian, for sharing your experience with us.
Thanks,
that was Christian Betrand, the president of Gutor Electronics. Remember, you can catch this show on all our social sites as well as on our app. Just search for Notepad with me, Ibrahim Sani. Thanks very much for watching, and goodbye.